G'day, it's Karen here from Vintage Style Journals. I'm just going to do a little demo of a painted pansy. I've been mucking around a little bit this afternoon with this, and I just thought, what am I doing? I should have had this on film. So what I'm going to do is I've just drawn an outline of a pansy here, and I'm just going to try and repaint this one here. You can do them in many colours, obviously. This is a painting, it's not necessarily realism, but just by looking at that you can see that that's a pansy. So I'm gonna do what I can to get it to look similar to the one that I've just painted, just so that you can see that it's not really difficult to paint. I'm using Josonia gouache, which is a gorgeous light fast or archival paint. It's never going to fade, so it'll be around for the colours at least will be around for many years to come, and so you can be guaranteed that when you paint with that product it's going to last for a long time, not going to fade. The colours are going to be as bright as they were when you put them on the page. I'm using just a watercolour piece of paper out of a small A5 little book. It's nothing spectacular, it's just really I want to paint some of these so that I can create some beautiful stickers to sell along with my other stickers online. So I'm just going to paint another pansy, probably paint the same colour just because I've got my palette organised beside me. So I've got a brush here, which is a chisel brush. You can see it's a very naughty dirty chisel brush, and you've got the flat edge here, and you've also got the chisel edge at the top here. Where are we? There. And so you can paint a good variety of wide flat strokes, or you can paint very fine lines like I have done here with the chisel edge. I've just popped the paint straight on and chiseled it in. I'm going to just be using this brush and a liner brush, a very fine liner brush, which is another very dirty brush, but it's a really good fine liner brush where I can actually make these little lines here around the edges. So yeah, without any more chattering, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water to my brush. I don't often add water, but I just want to lay down pretty much a base coat, and I'm going to use this edge of the brush here to put the actual paint, and I'm going to blend it on my palette so that it washes across to the tip of the chisel edge here. So I can show you. I'll just move my palette over, it's a little bit dingy, but I'll just pop it here and I'll just show you what I mean. So I'm going to pick up the paint on this edge of the brush, so just pick it up here. I'm just going to mash down on it. You can see the paint swimming over because I've probably got a little bit too much water on my brush, but just turning it over, bouncing it pretty much on the spot. I don't scrape it like this, otherwise you'll be painting your palette and you won't have any paint left on your brush. So I'm just loading that brush up nicely, but the majority of the paint is going, oops, out of shot there, going to be around this area here. So I'm just going to put down a little bit of a wash. This is not watercolour, but I'm using a technique that could be equally used with watercolour. You can see I've put a little outline there. I'm not what you would call a really good drawer, but I try, and so I've just put an outline. I'm just going to probably focus on this one first, and I'm going to just put my brush straight down, pressing really firmly on the brush, and I'm going to wiggle it out to the edge here and just put in a couple of little wiggles. You can see it's quite wet still, so I'm going to just mash that in so that it's not going to dry out before I can get back to it. Keep going back to your palette, loading up, making sure that you've got plenty of paint on your palette. Keep with the line that you stopped with there, where the water ends, because you don't want big patchy lines. See how I'm wiggling it there? It's a little bit of a folk art type of way of putting a little bit of shape into it. Now I'm just going to come back in here and add some more paint. Okay, keep going back to the palette, getting more paint. I'm just going to just very quickly dab that in there to cover over. If you're doing watercolors, you'd probably have patchy paint by now. It would probably be really patchy, and the outlines when it starts to dry will be quite obvious. So it's not a good idea to use too much water, but if you can use a watercolor technique, but this is really more of a just painterly technique. And I'm just going to lay down the next two petals here. You can see my brush again, it's got the majority of the paint on the edge here. So I'm just going to press down. You can see I'm turning it towards the shape. If I wanted to be clever, I would have turned my work upside down earlier. It would have made it easier for me to get that paint down. So I'm just going to go to the edge there, put the chisel brush on the edge, on the tip, and I'm going to push it out and I'm going to lay it flat. I'm just going to come down the edge of that petal there and go back and get some more paint on my brush. And just push that out a little bit there so you've got a little bit of shape to it. Going to come in later and shade that. You can see that it's not too difficult to do this. If you've got any brushes, just give it a go. I'm just going to turn this around just so that I can more easily control my brush here. So you can see I've got it up on the chisel edge again. I'm going to push it out that way. You can do these in any colour you like. It's such a beautiful, beautiful flower to paint. So I'm going back down, just putting a little bit of extra colour there. Back out again to the edge. See how I'm lifting that up and just pulling it back in. It's just giving it a little bit of shape there. I'm going to come in and put some highlights on like I've done over here earlier. And we might just go to a different, actually before I do that, what I'll do is I'm going to shade in this. So instead of using this edge, I'm just going to wash out the brush slightly, and I'm going to use the other edge of my brush. This is a beautiful brush to work with, and you can get so many great techniques on your page with it. I'm going to do the opposite. Just going to pick up that same colour, which is permanent alizarin. I like painting with this colour because it's, you can, probably purple madder. Yes, it's purple madder, not purple alizarin, permanent alizarin. So again, I'm just going to go see how it's on the other side. Instead of on the foot, on the heel, I'm putting it on the toe of the brush. So just come back down here. It's what that's going to do is it's going to put this petal here in the front. We've just got some shading behind there. You can go for broke, do as much shading as you feel is appropriate, just to sit this petal forward, because that's how they look in nature. The front petal usually tends to look like it's sitting forward more than the others. So we'll just go down here. You can see I've got more paint on the toe of the brush, just pressing it all the way down. And I'm just coming right down to the edge, and that's going to lift that front petal forward again. You don't have to wiggle it or anything like that. I'm just going to paint in a little bit of extra there. But yeah, you can see it's actually pushed the petal forward. So you've got a bit of shading there. We'll do some more shading. I might just keep working on this one. What I want to do is, I want to put in this edge here, just around the edge, just to have it look like the petals curling over a little bit. I'll see if I can get a similar sort of look on this one. I'm going to put more colours on it in a minute. I'm using purple deox as well, or dioxazine purple, for the back leaves. I might even use yellow on this one just to be different. I might make the back leaves yellowish, but overall I'm going to pretty much keep a relatively dirty brush so that even when I put the yellow in, it's going to tone in beautifully and not be screaming at me and sort of sticking out too much. So I'm just doing the same with my brush. I'm dabbing it on the palette, getting more paint onto the tip here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush down. I want to get this edge here, so I'm going to just brush down a little bit and just bring that back up here. You can see what I'm doing, I hope. Just it's putting a little, it's what we did here with the shading. We pushed this forward. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to push this little edge here forward by putting more shading in, and I might make it interesting rather than just straight along. I'm going to curl it in a little bit. You can see what I'm doing there. Just so it's actually just given a little curl of a petal there. I'll do the same on the other side, only I won't be so uniform. I'm going to make this a little bit more overt. So we'll just go in here, go around, see where that lovely paint is just, it's not really puddled there, but it's sort of a little bit of a darker tone there. Just going to make it stand out a little bit more and make it look like it was meant to be, because we can do whatever we like because it's our painting. So don't forget that. You can, you know, there's no real mistakes. You can always make them look like they're meant to be just by adding a few little bits of, see how I've done that, I've curled that in. So this is giving this part here a lip over. It's just adding a little bit of interest really. So while I've got this paint on my brush, I'm not going to wash it out. I'm just going to keep working with the colour, and I'm going to go darker in here because I'm going to put a little bit of light colour over it in a minute. But I just want it a little bit darker in the centre here, so I'm just dabbing down some of that paint. You can see just the way that I wiggled the brush before. You've got the light and the medium and the dark tones. Again, this is not perfect. It's you can tell that it's a flower, but if it's not really botanically necessarily perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some shading. See how that's bent over there and over here? I'm just going to make that look like it's a little frilly. So I've got the paint. I might just add a little bit of water to that. Usually I use mediums when I'm painting on furniture or on murals or anything like that, but for this, because I'm using the watercolour paper, then I'm just using water. The only problem with water is if you're painting on a piece of wood or I'm just going to bend that down. I'm going to take advantage of this little ruffled area here. I'm going to make that stand up just by putting a little bit of shading in there. See how it's made it a little light and dark there. It's going to give it some more shape. I'll do the same here. There's this nice little area here. You can see what I've done there. It's coming along okay. I will use other colours shortly. This is just putting a background in. I'm trying to keep the petal going in towards the centre so that it's not looking a little bit funky and sort of sitting on the wrong edge. So I'm just dabbing down there and bringing it more towards the centre. So it's starting to give it a little bit of shape. Kind of looks a little bit too pronounced there, so I'll work on that in a minute. Right. Don't want to overdo it, but I think I might need to make something in here. Just make that little area there dark. Looks like it's got a bit of a ruffle on it. Okay, I'll leave that as it is at the moment, but I just want to come in and do the thing that I've done here with this, giving this a bit of an edge here. I want to do that just to this little edge here and a tiny little bit up here. So just putting more of the same purple matter I'm using on my brush. It's a gorgeous colour. If you mix dioxazine purple with it, it gives us really stunning browny, just a gorgeous, gorgeous tones. So I might just go back over here. See, I'm taking advantage of the lighter tone here and making it so that it's not straight, but just ruffling it in a little bit. Okay, it's like curling inwards is the look I'm going for. I don't want to overdo that, but I'm going to just pop a little bit along the edge here. I hope you're really going to have a go at this, because it's a great thing to do, to be able to paint, to decorate your either your journals or whatever you like to do. You can see how that's given it a little bit of a turn in the petal, bringing it forwards. All right, now I just want to show you what I did here. In here, I'm just going to get a little bit of water on the tip of the brush, and I'm going to blend the purple matter with some dioxazine purple, because that's going to just darken the tone without sort of screaming off the page and looking separate from the rest of the work. So I've got that on my chisel edge there, and I'm just going to, instead of going flat, I'm going to go straight down. I usually start at the middle and work my way down, just so that it's not uneven. If you look at pansies, they've got this gorgeous lines down the middle. It's like they've been painted with a paintbrush. And then go out into the garden if you've got any pansies out there and have a look at them. They're just stunning. They're beautiful, beautiful artworks, and I thought, what a gorgeous thing to paint. So see how I've just pulled that down from the center, going around so that it's even around there. Usually I think they're, from what I've seen, is they can be black as well. I might even paint a few from here once I get my yellow petals in. I think I'm going to have to wash my brush out a little bit, but before I do, I just want to take advantage of that dark tone there and just come in here just to sharpen that edge a little bit. Okay, that's standing it out a little bit more. In fact, I might just go around the edge here with the purple on it, because it's giving it quite a nice dark hue. So just do that here. Don't want it to look like a line, so I'm just filling that in. With acrylic, you can do that. It's not going to, you've got really good control. I said before, this is gouache, but it is a type of acrylic paint, and looking a little bit too toned in there at the moment, but I'm hoping that'll change in a minute when I get some. I'll just even it up a little bit. I'm pulling some of that purple down. Okay, so we've got the bottom. It's getting there. Obviously, it's not finished, but good to have fingers. You can just dab it. I'm just going to put the yellow in at the top now. I've actually had to wash my brush because I didn't wash it perfectly, but I want to get the yellow, and I'm using Turner's yellow. I'm just dabbing on my palette at the moment, getting a little bit more water just so I can get some good coverage. and it's not going to look too outrageous because I'm going to tone all of this in a minute. I'm just feathering it out here. Use your brush to paint, pick it up, make it flat, and then just sort of push and lift. It'll give you some nice shape, and the colours will actually work in really beautifully. I've used this on the tip more so than the heel this time. Not sure why I did that, but we'll work with it. This section here is going to be darker. Okay, just putting down a base there. All right, so I'm keeping the yellow on my brush, and I'm going to just pick up a little bit of that purple matter on the heel of the brush, and I'm going to blend both the purple matter and the yellow together, just so that I've got just beautiful colours to work with, and they'll work across the brush so that we'll get a nice even flow of colour across the brush. I'll show you the brush in a minute because I'm just dabbing it on my palette just to get the colour on. So there's the brush. I've got two colours on the brush. I've got the Turner's yellow, and I've got the purple matter, and I'm just going to come down on the chisel edge just around that front petal there. I'm just going to come down, pressing. You can see going into the edge and just going out. Probably a little bit darker than I wanted, but I can fix that in a minute. I'll just keep it with the other side just so that we're not disconnected from the hole. Kind of like that colour though. So just coming out with the dark tone on the heel and just pushing it out. Might see what we can do here. Just maybe a bit more water on that. A bit more Turner's yellow. I know it's all a bit of a try it and see sort of thing. Okay, go from the middle there. Might as well cover the whole shebang. I love this here, so I might just stick with that. I'm going to put some more of that purple matter on there. I just love the way that turned out actually. It's going a little bit darker in the edge there, just so that I can push this petal forward and the other one back. See how I'm using the chisel edge of the brush there? I'm just pushing it out. So I love that. It's given it a little bit of shape and movement. So same here. Don't have it all the same, obviously. Just there we go. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I might do that to the other. It's giving it a lot more movement on this one. I've got a thing about these edges coming over. I don't really want it all the same. I don't want too many edges turning in. So I might actually just go over that in a minute. I do like the yellow coming through. So I'm just going to push some more colour out there. Oh, let me see, not enough paint on my brush. And I've got, you can see quite a bit of the this colour here. Just pushing that out while it's still wet. That's the beauty about watercolour paper. If you did this on wood, it would actually not work out beautifully, because once the paint starts to dry, it actually starts to lift off the page if you put more off the item rather. If it's on a wooden piece or a bit of furniture or something like that, it'll actually, if you keep putting paint on, it'll actually start lifting, so you don't want that. But on this, doesn't matter. It's because the watercolour paper actually just sucks up all the moisture. It's gorgeous, and I really like working with it. You can see I've pretty much gotten rid of all my dark beautiful yellow is just gone now, but I don't mind that colour, but I might just put a wash of yellow over the top of that just to lighten it up a little bit. But I still need to push these petals forward because they're still not, on this one here particularly, it's not looking as if it's coming forward, it's just looking very flat. So to push anything into the front, you need to put something dark behind it. So I've just put some more purple matter on my brush, and I'm going to use the chisel edge and go along here and just put a little bit of darker paint in there, just a little shadow. It's moved it forward a little bit, still not happy with it. I'm going to do the same to this edge here. Just make it look a little bit more darker towards the centre of the flower. Maybe I'll put some pale colour along there, which will really kick it forward. So I kind of like the colour of that muddied yellow now. I'm not sure what I want to do with that. I want to make it lighter or not. I'll just have to wash my brush out if I do. So I think I'm going to do it. I think I'll put a little wash of a pale yellow around the edge, and I'll give this more form, like a little, I don't know, just some more movement. I just want to push this out a bit. Not happy with that. Whatever's on your brush, you can feel free, if you're painting, like I've still got some yellow in there, you can feel free to just keep moving colour around, because it'll all work in well. If you have colours that are not blended, it just really tends to stand out and look a little bit, I don't know, a bit in your face. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some yellow, and I've got some titanium white here. I'm going to make a little mix of the yellow and white and bring it into a lighter tone of the yellow, and I'm going to try and get it quite watery so that I don't make it too loud looking. Obviously if I muck it up, that's okay, because we'll learn from it. But what I'm going to do is it's a lot lighter there, so I'm going to just try and put a little wash over the top here. And I didn't really wait for that paint to dry, but I'm going to try and use the actual shape of the petals just to put some shape in the actual petal itself to make it look like it's meant to be there. So I'm just putting that there, a little dab there. Oh, that's okay. Do the same here. See how it's coming in here? I'm going to take advantage of that, and I'm just going to make it look like it was meant to be. It's giving it more movement. Oh, yeah, I like that. Maybe another one here. Oh, I'm going too hard on it now because I just want to keep doing it. Going along the chisel edge, just putting a bit of a line there. But I think if I do any more, it'd probably ruin it completely. I'd just come in there over that one. That's moved it forward a little bit. So I'm going to go around the edge of this with some a lighter colour, just to knock that little, do I want that around there? I don't know if I do. Okay, I'm sounding like I'm a little bit of a crazy woman at the moment, but I'm just going to try and hide that so that I'm not going to have any curling over of the petals at the back. I'm just going to leave the curls here. And so that's gone quite yellow there. I'm going to lighten it up again, put a little wash over it, and just add some more white to the tip of my brush, and just towards the edge of the petal, just going a little bit lighter. Yeah, that'll do. Now I just want to show you what I'm going to do with these little curls here. Just going to get some white on my brush. If it looks too outrageously stark, all you need to do is just put a little wash over it. But I just want to separate all these petals. This here is not looking good in my opinion. I just want to move that forward. So I'm just going to, I've got a lot of paint on this little brush, so I'm going to just start up here. I'm going to press down. That's sort of brought it in. Now that I haven't got too much paint on there, I can just put a little fine line around there. Okay, so that's brought it forward. Good, like it. We'll do the same with the other side. This is just a very pale colour here, but I don't mind the way it looks at the moment. I'm just going to turn this up so I've got a little bit more control of my brush. So I'm just coming from the centre out very lightly, pressing down, lifting up again, coming round. Probably just paint that in a little bit more. Okay, so yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Now I'm going to do the same with these ones here. Make sure my paintbrush is loaded well. I've used quite a watery mixture, because if you're using a very fine liner brush like this one, you will not get any good stroke. Pressing down, lifting up. You won't get any good stroke if you don't have an inky consistency. Just coming in again from this side, pressing down. So I'm lifting up very lightly. If you feel like you might not be able to do this or have control with the brush, just take a bit of a deep breath and you will be perfectly fine. I find that my hand stays a lot more still when I have held my breath, which you can't really do when you're talking, so just bear with me. I'm just going to come around here and move this petal forward again. Not to be over the top with it. Yeah, I think I'm going to make these little areas here a little bit lighter now that that's dried. But before I do that, I've still got some white on my brush. I might just come in here and put a little yellow stroke in there for the centre of the flower. We're going to come down here and do a little bit of this as well. But I think I might do the yellow petals first before I get to that. Just picking up my other brush with the tip of the chisel brush, and I'm just going to go over this again, adding a little wash over. Okay, I don't know, what do you think? Looking a bit much? Not sure. I think I'll just come down into the centre. Okay, so that's made it move around a little bit more. Now I'm going to just add a little bit of rose pink to the brush, just to give some highlights to this area here, which is what I've put here, this little beautiful pink. So it's not just the paper that we see coming through the back. This is a very watery mix. It's just giving a little bit of extra colour. Instead of using a white or something, I've pretty much used the gorgeous rose pink. Don't know if I'm still happy with that, but yes, now what to do. I don't know. I think you can just do too much sometimes and it kind of ruins it. what I might try is I might just add a little bit of the rose pink and just see where we go with that. It's a very watery mix of the rose pink. See how I'm using the brush up on the chisel edge? I think that's okay. You probably think, oh, it didn't make much difference at all. And that's all right. You can think that. I can see there is a bit of a difference there. It's not looking so contrived, I suppose. That'll do. I might just move this one forward here too. It's just sort of sitting there. Okay, that's all right. Now I'm just going to do these little white strokes in the middle, and then I think I'm going to leave it alone, because sometimes you can just work it and work it and work it until you've got something crazy going on and there's no turning back. You have to paint over it. So this is what I normally do. I'm not going to use the chisel edge, but I'm just going to use the liner brush with an inky consistency starting in the middle. I'm going to come down a little bit. I don't think you should probably go right up the top there, but just straight down the middle. Just in line with the other strokes that I've made before. And these darker ones. You could actually use black, which wouldn't matter. The black would look great. I think if I had yellow, I'd probably, if this petal here was bright yellow, I would probably use a Deox purple with the purple madder. I'm sorry if I'm using terms of paint colours that you're not au fait with. It's just they're the colours that I've used here, so I'm still not happy with this. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, but yes, I don't know. Gonna have to do something. Can't leave it like that if I'm not happy. Just maybe something a bit brighter. I don't know. I'll try again. I might just ruin it all together, but I'll try again with the yellow. So I've got yellow on my brush here, so I'm going to just come around and put a little bit more brightness to it. Because I put the white on it before, I can actually put a little wash of the yellow over it, and it'll still give you the light background. And I think that's a little bit better. You probably think, oh gee, it doesn't look any different. But I think it's less white looking and flat looking. I'm actually going to put a little bit of yellow around here as well, just as some tone, just interest. Okay, and that's all. I'm not doing any more to that. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you probably don't think like my husband does. I'm a crazy person. But yeah, if you've got any questions or any comments, I'm happy with good or bad or ugly. That's okay by me. And I hope you enjoyed it. And if you're going to give it a shot, let me know. I'd love to see yours. Bye for now.